Hello, everybody. How you doing on this fine? Oh, what is time? Wednesday. I'm doing okay. I'm a little bit like, I don't know, feeling a little scatterbrained because I'm working on a bunch of projects all at once. But yeah, I had to come on here and tell y'all and talk to y'all about I know a lot of y'all already know this, so I guess I'm not really telling you, but there's an update in the Cher case situation. I thought I had the thing up. I don't. Well, I told you I'm a little scatterbrained. Okay, let me pull the article up. So, as you can see by the title, there have been allegations being made, and these allegations are being made by Cher's son's wife. The son's name's Elijah, and the wife's name is Mary Angela or Marie Angela. I'm not really sure. She goes by Queenie King. And anyway, so the wife, they were going through a divorce, the son and the wife. And um he initiated the divorce proceedings in November 2021. Months go by. One like there's all this drama going on in the case, like he's not making support payments and he's going missing for months and months at a time. And all the while, the wife is telling the court this. She's kind of periodically filing declarations in the court saying, I don't even know where this man is. I cannot proceed with this lawsuit. We cannot do anything about a divorce if I can't get inside the house, that all my stuff is in, and, stuff like that. So one thing leads to another. As y'all know, about a week or a little more ago, Cher filed to put the son in a conservatorship. So that's all going on. I've made a couple live streams about it, and a new thing has happened since the live stream that I made yesterday. It's not actually new, like, it had already happened by the time I made the by the time I went live yesterday, but I did not know about it yet. So, as soon as I got off of the live, somebody had already sent me this information. I want to talk about it here, and it is that about 2 days ago, this wife, Elijah's wife, also just, for the record, if y'all have been following this, you already know this, but Elijah's wife has according to my understanding and reading of the statute, the wife has priority over Cher if there is going to be a conservatorship. So if there's going to be a conservatorship, the number one choice for conservator would be whoever Elijah picks. Then as far as priority, right? Once they determine the priority, then the judge can still override the decision, but we're talking about just the priority here. From my reading of the statute, it would be whoever Elijah chooses. Then, if he's unable to choose for some reason, then it would be his wife or his spouse if he was married, whoever he's married to. After that, if the spouse couldn't or didn't want to, she could nominate someone. So that's like 3 people in front of Cher, right? Cher kind of jumped the gun, jumped her place in line as far as what I'm able to see here. Okay. And so yesterday I get off my live and it's brought to my attention that this daughter-in-law, the wife, Mary Angela, she has made all kinds of allegations about Cher, and it's all coming out public. And one of the allegations is that Cher had kept her son, the one she's trying to conserve, locked in a facility in Mexico. So don't take my word for it. I am going to pull the article up. Let me just pull it up here. I did make a Instagram thing about it. I guess I'll just read the article here. Just give me a second. When's this from? Oh, wow. Okay. So I wasn't intending to stumble upon this, but now that I did, let me just show it to y'all. This is from back in October. Now, I do have a timeline that I'm going to show y'all after, we get through the main body of this video, but just for, I love a good timeline moment. Look at this article from October 27th. So this was several months ago. Right now it's January 3rd. Cher's daughter-in-law accuses singer, that's Cher, of blocking contact with her husband. demands access to his medical records. So this was back in October. Very important time frame in October. A lot of stuff was going on then. Completely disappeared. We did read this court hearing. I did like a 4-hour long live stream. We did read this um allegation, and the allegation was from this past October that Marie Angela, the wife, was saying that Cher had completely blocked contact with Elijah and that he had completely disappeared. Um, so he owed her money, like I said. Okay. In the legal papers, she stated she would like to conduct discovery of Elijah's health records because the mother, that's Cher, continues to interfere with the health management, his health management, as well as his location. So we already had some clues here that he was being held somewhere, something was going on, at least the wife couldn't get in touch with him. But we didn't have as much information then as we have today. So let me just Okay, I wanna go to the one that had the exclusive. Who was it? Page 6. Okay. Now this is wild. Alright. Here's the article. Came out January 1st. Today's January 3rd. Elijah Blue is page 6, and it's exclusive. So, Marie Angela spoke directly with page 6. Elijah Blue Allman's estranged wife, Mary Angela King, blasts Cher for throwing son, quote, into a lockdown facility before filing for conservatorship. Okay, so the wife blasts Cher for throwing Elijah into a lockdown facility, and this all happened. The lockdown facility thing, allegedly, according to Marie Angela, happened on before the conservatorship filings. Okay. Elijah Blue Allman's estranged wife is going after Cher for throwing her son into a lockdown facility in Mexico just a couple months before filing for conservatorship. Why do we care about this timeline as far as when the conservatorship gets filed for? Do you remember? It's because December 31st, just 3 days ago, 2 days, whatever. Yeah, three, was the deadline for Elijah to receive his trust payments from the Greg Allman Descendants Trust. Okay, so the trustee had a deadline. He was required to pay Elijah what his dad had left him in the will by December 31st. Cher files for this conservatorship on December 27th. All right. But even a couple months before this, it seems like one could be forgiven for assuming that it seems like Cher might have been trying to hold on to him and make sure that she knew his exact whereabouts for this whole scheme's, plan, I should say, to get effectuated. I mean, there's other possible reasons. Some people are saying things like, well, he's a DRUG addict and Cher is trying to save his life. And that's all fine and good, except she's not trying to be the conservator over his person, baby. She's only trying to be the conservator over his estate. And in particular, she has told the court, which I do not believe could possibly be true, but how do I know? She has told the court that Elijah's personal property is worth nothing. He has $0 worth of personal property. He don't have one guitar worth $1,000, according to Cher. Not a guitar, not a house, not a home. Nothing else belongs to this man, I guess, according to Cher, in the way that she filed this, except these trust payments that are due to be distributed. So he was due to get trust payments from his trust 3 days ago. But 3 days before that, Cher files for conservatorship. And a couple months before that, apparently, allegedly, according to this exclusive that came out recently, it was a couple months before that he was actually held against his will in a lockdown facility. So let's see what she has to say to page 6 and what they have reported. Elijah Blue Allman's estranged wife, is going after Cher for throwing her son into a lockdown facility in Mexico just a couple months before the filing for the conservatorship. Mary Angela King tells Page Six exclusively that Cher and her family, quote, historically excluded Mary Angela from making decisions regarding Elijah's care. She says, including when Cher allegedly kidnapped Elijah to get him into rehab and placed him in, quote, a locked cage instead of a legitimate, ethically operated facility. She says, I've always been a champion for the sober community and for her husband Elijah's sobriety. What I'm not okay with are establishments that exclude me, his wife, from being a part of his treatment and hopefully his recovery. She says in her statement, I'm not okay with pop-up, makeshift, unethical scam rehabs. Woo! She called this a pop-up, makeshift, unethical scam rehab which take full advantage of families in desperate situations and seek to fraudulently exploit insurance companies for services not rendered. Okay. Now, before anybody goes too hard on Mexico, I would like to remind you that this is not exclusive to Mexico. And in fact, a large foundation of my channel has been established upon the fact that this happens right here in the United States of America. Now, I do wonder, and I did do some research into why they would be keeping them in Mexico over, in the United States. What are the different reasons? I didn't want to just like make any, uneducated statements. So I did look it up and I'll show you all a little bit of what I found, but let's get through this article first. I'm not okay with pop-up, makeshift, unethical scam rehabs. This is what the wife said about the rehab facility that Elijah was in, and that Cher allegedly, according to this, locked him there, kidnapped him, and had him in a locked cage with 6 other people. This also does sound familiar. I mean, there's a rehab scam in Florida called the Florida Shuffle. So when y'all are thinking about voting for that particular candidate from Florida, I would like you to consider the fact that it's like conservatorship heaven over there, and he hasn't said not one word about it, much less done anything about it. So if y'all want to continue living in an open air prison, go ahead, be my guest, but just be informed, please. Thank you. The article goes on to say King, 36 years old, also tells Page Six she was not okay with Allman being coerced in October. Oh, remember October? We just talked about October. Remember what we just talked about, what happened in October? That law had gotten passed, and Mary Angela filed the declaration in court that said she doesn't know where Elijah is, right? Because they're supposed to be going through all this court proceedings and she cannot get in touch with him. She doesn't know where he is. She doesn't know what's even wrong with him. Nobody will tell her anything. So that was October. She filed that. But look right here. It says in October, Elijah was coerced, according to his wife, into, quote, participating in an alternative medicine regimen. What could this possibly be? I don't even want to speculate. I mean, it could be anything, but it says he was coerced in October into participating in an alternative medicine regimen that resulted in his being forced to sleep behind a locked cage. So he was coerced in October into going to this alternative medicine treatment of some sort. And he was forced to sleep in a locked cage with 6 other individuals, apparently. The wife, known professionally as Queenie King, also denies that she ever, quote, enabled Allman's substance abuse, and she maintained that she'd never suffered from any form of substance abuse, mental health, or addiction issues. And this is very important because a lot of people that I've seen defending Cher's conservatorship attempt in the comments, and, not my comments, just around, have been saying, this lady doesn't need to be involved in his life because she too is an addict, which, okay, first of all, let's pretend that is true. People that are addicts are allowed to decide who they want to hang out with. It's called the freedom of association and is protected and confirmed and all that in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. So we're allowed to hang out with people that got the same problems as us. People in the comment section, I'm so sorry to have to tell you. But importantly, she's denying that she has ever suffered from substance abuse, mental health, or addiction issues. So, I mean, I don't know many people who, I know step one is admit. A lot of people can't make it to the step one and all that, but I don't know many people who are in 2023 genuinely addicts who would say, I've never suffered from any form of addiction issue. And like, I'm kind of more inclined to believe her than the random comment section, to be honest. Like, who even are these people? Like, they're always on drugs to get okay. Well, if that was true, I guess I could see some semblance of a problem, but she's not even she's saying that's not even true. And if it was true, why people can't hang out with who they want to hang out with? Like, these are adults. Y'all have to come off of the like leash. You got to let people go be adults. That's why we have a whole generation of adult grown men babies right now that never learned how to be grown men, and adult grown little girls right now that never learned how to be adults because nobody's parents are allowing them to just suffer the consequences of their actions. Cher, uh, April Margera, the Carter mom, all of them. Freaking, who else am I thinking? James Parnell Spears, all of them. You just gotta let your kids spend their damn money that their dad gave them, and it will. And you just gotta. So what? Get over it. Like, I do understand the fear and all that comes along with it, but get over it. Just stop. Let people make their choices. In the comments defending this, literally like taking away somebody's rights because they got addiction. And then also one of the rights is who they can hang out with. It's obscene. Something's wrong with y'all. Something is wrong with you. Sorry that I have to be the one to tell you. A rep for King, the wife, says that the singer whose most recent single is called She Wants to Kill Me, which I made a whole thing about yesterday, so I'm not going to rehash that. She hoped to settle the substance abuse issues privately with her husband before Cher, 77 years old, filed to be the sole conservator. Despite a clear pattern of being habitually bulldozed over and repeatedly undermined, a pattern that has existed throughout their 10-year marriage, the wife wholly rejects any inference that she is incapable of caring for her husband or making sound medical and financial decisions on his behalf. So she's also kind of making a little bit of a legal argument here. She's kind of saying, oh, yeah, and if he does need to be in a conservatorship, there is nothing wrong with me. I've been married to him for 10 years. This is a habit. This is a pattern of Cher to bulldoze me throughout my 10-year marriage. But any inference that I'm incapable of helping my husband do things is wrong. That's what she's saying. Been married to Almond for 10 years, feels the conservatorship is deeply disturbing. So I'm glad that they put that in there because I was like, is she arguing that she should be the conservator up here? But it says no. She says she feels it's deeply disturbing and believed his family would appreciate longtime silence regarding the private matters. Instead, her silence was wrongly perceived as weakness, and the representatives for Cher did not immediate. So Cher's rep, Cher didn't make a comment back. She claims he cannot properly care for himself or his financial matters because of his drug abuse. Stuff we've already read, entitled to regular distributions. And they even note it here. Cher also marked that Elijah has an estimated $0 in personal property. So this got my wheels turning a little bit. So that's pretty much, the story, whatever that's being reported. I don't know where this rehab is. I don't know what this rehab is. I don't know what's going on. Well, somebody, and thank you to the person who did. I forget who sent it, forget the person's name or whatever. But somebody sent me another article from 2016 by Fox News, and it has a kind of graphic, like kind of jarring picture. So let me pull it up here before okay. So this right here, Fox News article, October 16th, 21st, 2016. Tough love drug rehabs in Mexico have, quote, kidnapping teams. Oh, okay. Again, it's a disturbing picture. I did leave the link below. You can go and look at it yourself if you'd like to, but let me just situate it. Tough Tough love drug rehabs in Mexico have, quote, kidnapping teams to help addicts recover. I'm going to scroll past the picture and then should be good. Okay. This blew my mind, y'all. This is from 2016. This is like many years ago. Okay. An extreme form of drug and alcohol rehabilitation in Mexico is beginning to attract U.S. citizens, many of whom believe that a tough love treatment may succeed where 12-step programs have failed. Extreme form of drug and alcohol rehab in Mexico, attracting U.S. citizens. Tough love might succeed if 12-step has failed. Okay. Well, before we go any further along, that got my wheels turning to Elijah Blue Allman, who now has changed his profile picture. It was the upside down Serbian Orthodox Church cross, which I found to be very interesting. Hopefully I got a screenshot of that. I have it from yesterday, but it was like a inverted upside down cross from the Serbian Orthodox Church, or like the Eastern Orthodox religions. You know, the cross with the like foot thing on the bottom used to be that and was upside down and flipped backwards until I guess today. So this is interesting to me, unless it's just something different going on my computer. I need to double check. This is a live stream, but it would indicate to me someone has access to Elijah's Instagram account to change his picture. Who? I don't know. I wouldn't want to speculate. But remember these posts that he made about conservatorships? Cher's son was posting about conservatorships. This was December. Let me see. I do have this exact date. This was December 19th that he posted this. December 19th, Elijah posted this. But Cher would not file for the conservatorship until December 27th. But look, he's already talking about imprisonment via conservatorship. Now, could this have been edited? Maybe. Where would it show me that? I'm really not sure. But a beautiful night and blah, 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 blah. Okay. But he's posting about imprisonment via conservatorship as early as December 19th, which was, more than a week before, about a week before she filed for it. Another post about a tobacco pouch and Sir Walter Riley. Again, imprisonment via conservatorship is a hashtag, and then an account called imprisonment via conservatorship. He does it again here on this blue eye post, see right here. And then on his most recent post, which was the day the conservatorship was filed for or the papers were filled out. See, it is a little bit unclear if it was on the 27th or the 28th that it was actually filed for, because sometimes you can file for something, but it's not until the court like processes it that it's like actually filed. So the paperwork is dated and signed and everything on December 17th. But the filing date that the court put a stamp on it and accepted the filings and all is December 28th. So this that we're looking at right here was posted on the same day that the conservatorship documents are dated. And it's fang, like a grill kind of thing, a mouthpiece thing, teeth cover, whatever that is. I'm not sure, with like vampire fangs made out of like some type of silver looking material, chrome something. And then he says, means business, fangophilia, changeling, roam, ROAM, like roaming around, like the verb. And then again, imprisonment via conservatorship. And he tags this account. So let's go to the account just because I got to remind y'all of something. Oh, oh my God. Okay. Here is that account. I clicked on it. It was started on sometime in December 2023. It doesn't tell you the exact date. Where it's tagged. Nothing's tagged. Okay. This is the only post on the account. 55 followers. And okay, first of all, what's the bio on the account? It says, imprisonment via conservatorship in the country of Mexico. And then it says, of foreign US and Mexican nationals held in lockdown. So he's saying it's Mexican nationals being held in these lockdowns. It's US nationals, like people from the United States being held there, and other people not from Mexico and not from the United States. Imprisonment via conservatorship in the country of Mexico of people from all around the globe, apparently, held in lockdown. Okay. Then there's this one post, this one picture, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, men, looks like full-sized adults on a pallet or in a bed, but they're like on top of each other. It's like claustrophobic. And then the account says this as the caption of that post. This is posted only 1 week ago and it was edited. There are around 2,000. I'm sorry, I do not know how to say this. Is this anejo? Tell me if it's pronounced like anejo or anexo. Probably not anexo. Probably anejo, right? Okay. There are around 2,000 anejos in Mexico. Foreign US and Mexican nationals are being horrifically abused. Oh my God. Horrifically abused in these anejos, and in some cases are being held for years. Many of these facilities are illegal. Imprisonment via conservatorship. Someone's saying, I think that is Elijah Blue's second account. Oh, it is an EXO? I don't know how to say it, y'all. Sorry. We do need Rabbit. Seriously, she's gonna say it so good. I love when Rabbit is saying like people's last names and stuff, and she says it so fast. Actually, we're doing a video on Perez Hilton, and his legal full name is very, very long. And I had to go through it a few times, and it sounds like such a gringo. Like, I need somebody who can like say that name. I might get Rabbit to record the name. I don't know. I thought about it. I just thought it would be funny, like a totally different voice, just because I just couldn't hack it. They are saying, I don't know, y'all. I'm gonna probably just switch it up till I find out for sure, till Rabbit confirms. But I don't know if it's Elijah's secondary account or not. What I do know is since the conservatorship was filed for, Elijah has not posted on his Instagram account. Okay. But this says there are 2,000. There's 2,000 of these facilities approximately in Mexico. All right. So also, he posted this. Elijah did. And he posted this on December 16th. This was 11 days before Cher filed for the conservatorship. Now, also remember, yesterday we did take a look at the wife's Instagram account. And on Christmas Eve, December 24th, she was posting to Instagram about thanking people for helping to get Elijah back into the country. So if his allegedly illegal lockup happened in Mexico in October, that means he was there in Mexico from October through the end of December. Now, could they have moved him around Mexico, here, there, everywhere? Yeah, sure, maybe so. And someone brought this up earlier. Again, I always must do the disclaimers of like innocent until proven guilty. Legitimately, I can have my hunches, I can have my speculation, but people are all innocent until proven guilty. I'm not making any allegations. But someone did ask this earlier in the comments, and I do have the same question. Like, in some ways, doesn't this kind of give you like international human trafficking vibes? Let's set aside Elijah Blue. Let's just say if this is true at all about anybody. They're bringing people across the border to hold them against their will in a prison camp of some sort for months. Like, I don't know, it's giving trafficking. And as usual, it doesn't seem like any of our actual authorities or institutions seem to give one single flying fuck, but that's, neither here nor there. That's why I'm here, I guess. Transparency is all we can really do here. Okay. But look, Elijah said this 11 days before the conservatorship, seemingly, I don't know when they got him back into the country. Maybe he already was back into the country at this point. I really don't know. But his post says it's some type of prison looking, Alcatraz looking. Somebody said this was actually a French prison. Somebody said this was a prison in France, but I don't know. They're saying Mexico. So I don't know. I didn't look it up. Now, Deadsy underscore is Elijah Blue's band. So I don't know who's running this account, but his bandmates do seem to be in support of him and not of Cher, which is interesting because in like the BAM conservatorship situation, for example, like he kind of had associations with a band as well, the CKY crew or whatever. And I know he wasn't really in it. But his brother was, and that band seemed to be fully gung ho for the conservatorship on board. But this time it looks like the peer group actually might not be fully in support of this conservatorship regime situation. Maybe they are, maybe they're just against the prisons. I really don't know. But Elijah says on this prison post, and again, he does tag the imprisonment via conservatorship account yet again. My beautiful friends from down Mexico way, not forgotten. And then he does all these hashtags, right? We read this yesterday, like all these, is it names? Is it names of people? I really don't know. But all of these pieces are starting to come together for me like yesterday afternoon because someone, like I said, had sent me this tough love rehab. Let me get it pulled up. Article about these Mexican anejo, I don't know how to say it. Anexo, I guess. I really don't know. But again, let me just remind you, this article is from 2016, October 2016. An extreme form of drug and alcohol rehab in Mexico is beginning to attract U.S. citizens. Many believe that a tough love treatment may succeed, where the 12-step programs have failed. Known as annexes or barns, those are the English translation words, which in and of itself, I'm a little bit like, why is it called a barn? All right. It's a health treatment, but it's a barn. And again, I don't really think anybody needs to get too high and mighty on the at least we train because we do this right here. Go take a drive down to Delray Beach. It's the same thing, girl. Same exact thing. Informal Mexican rehabilitation centers have sprung up around the country that are run by former addicts, and they favor hardline treatments and mental toughness over sympathy and submission to a higher power. Many of us have done the 12 steps, but Mexican culture is not as forgiving toward recovering addicts as our northern neighbors. Jesus Tapia, director at this one rehab or whatever, told Fox News, Latino. He said, here, we find it is a lot more effective for patients to feel they have fully atoned and paid for their wrongdoings. Okay, this is contradictory to me though. Cuz it's supposed to be something, look, they favor hardline treatments and mental toughness over sympathy and submission to a higher power. But what is atonement? Aren't you atoning to God? Isn't that what it is? You're apologizing and beating yourself for your sin or whatever. Here, he says, this is the director of the facility. We find it is a lot more effective for patients to feel that they have fully atoned and paid for their wrongdoings. The phenomenon of these annexes and barns began in the 1980s when former addicts, disillusioned with the lack of Mexican state concern for their disease, established private rehab centers. Most of these centers are independent institutions charging about $500 for a 3-month program. Well, okay. This was also in 2016. I do know a lot of prices for things have skyrocketed. I don't know how much they're charging now. I don't know if it's 40,000 or still 500. Really don't know. That is substantially cheaper than American-based centers, to my knowledge, which run, $25 to $50 to $100,000 a month or whatever. Word of them has reached the United States. Okay. They have proliferated. That means they've like exploded in popularity. And word of them has reached the United States. In the past 2 years, so this is 2016, so they're talking about 2014, 2015, they saw a surge in U.S. citizens, particularly Mexican Americans, at Tijuana and other border city facilities. Now, this is a whole side story over here, this Tijuana and other border city facilities thing, because what they were doing is they were kind of like, picking up people, and you can have, moral you can have moral opinion. I'm trying to be, careful how I say it because people have opinions on both sides. And it really is, I don't think there's a right answer. But they were picking up people off the streets in Tijuana and like Baja California, Mexico, and like, I don't know, some border towns. And if they were on drugs or if they had any drugs or anything like that, they would use that as a reason to deport people. But they weren't just simply deporting them and like letting them free in Mexico. They were sending them to these annex barns, these rehabs. And it was almost like instead of going to jail, it was like almost like the countries maybe had agreements, like the local government. I don't know. Maybe they weren't supposed to be making agreements across the border, but maybe I'm really not sure. That's not the point of this particular article, but I did look it up further and there was more to be found on this stuff. So if y'all are interested, then go look it up. Correct me if I'm wrong and all that. Okay. It says our U.S. patients, this is Jesus, he's the director of one of these facilities. Our U.S. patients generally arrive for two reasons. Okay, what are they? U.S. rehab is very expensive and are difficult for Mexican immigrant families to afford. So he's saying predominant majority, and the article rather is saying the majority of the U.S. citizens in these programs are Mexican Americans at the border cities. U.S. patients arrive for two reasons. Rehab is very expensive and difficult for Mexican immigrant families to afford. So they say, well, we're going to send you to, and we see this with other stuff. Like I know somebody from Romania. He goes back to Romania to get dental work. I know somebody, from India. He went to India to get some dental work. So this happens where you're like, maybe you're from somewhere, but you're a citizen here. And it's like, okay, I'm just going to go to my uncle's, like, whatever. Now, this does not necessarily, I wouldn't recommend doing this. I'm not a doctor, do at your own risk, all that, whatever. Standards different, prices different, whatever. But this is common. So I could see how a lot of immigrant families might say, look, let's send them to rehab back in Mexico. It's $500 for 3 months versus thousands and thousands in the United States, whatever. We're on the border town anyway, whatever. Okay, got it. Checks out. Okay, what's the second reason that the U.S. patients end up in these facilities? Latino families have more faith in a less sympathetic, more punitive form of recovery. Okay, I want to be very careful. This is not me saying this. I'm reading y'all something from an article. Jesus presumably is Latino. He's speaking for himself and his own people, but I do hesitate to think that like, oh yeah, any and every like Latino person like wants to subject their family to this. I doubt a lot of these people really exactly know what's going on in here, but maybe they do. Maybe they do. I don't know. He says Latino families have more faith in a less sympathetic, more punitive form of recovery. That's like more deranged, more cruel and unusual. He's saying like Latino people are predisposed to subjecting their loved ones to that for some reason. I don't have any opinion on that one way. I have no way to know that. It just seems like, I don't know, doesn't seem like that probably is the full picture. But hey, look, he's saying it. I don't know. He says, speaking of Latino families, we feel that being treated by former addicts is more effective than by medical professionals. Okay, so there's no medical professionals in the annex barns, all right? We Latino families, according to Jesus, they have more faith in cruel and unusual punitive recovery. And we, all the Latino families of the world, feel that being treated by former addicts is more effective than by medical professionals. Okay. He goes on to say, rather than following set medical procedures, we try to reach patients on an emotional and spiritual level by sharing our own experiences. Well, I have some news for Jesus. This is exactly what they be doing in these like recovery houses that like Brandon Novak owns and things like that. I mean, they do often have those like this. I don't know if Brandon's is exactly like this. I don't want to make any allegations. I've never been there. I don't know. But there's definitely like these like privately owned annex house barns in the United States that are just like housing people, holding them, getting money from insurance, getting money from families, not treating them appropriately medically, and they give them access to street drugs and stuff too. So this is not like a Mexico versus United States thing at this point. Now, many years ago, 6, 8, 7 years ago when this was written, maybe there was some stark difference, but this goes on right here. Right here. Don't be careful of patting yourself on the back. Oh, but no, because guess what? The Supreme Court in Mexico a couple of years ago ruled that conservatorships are unconstitutional. Imagine a world where that could happen in this country. Now, again, it's like, is it working? Okay, conservatorships are unconstitutional, but these things still exist. There's over 2,000 of them, according to Elijah. So I don't know. That's just my commentary. I don't know. I really don't know. It's just my thoughts. U.S. rehab's expensive. Immigrant families, Latino families have more faith in the punitive. We feel being treated by former addicts is more effective than by medical professionals. Instead of medical stuff, we try to reach patients on an emotional and spiritual level by sharing our own experiences. Okay. Also, I do want to say, I don't have any gripes or complaints about this if it's true. If it's really true, we're like taking an emotional and spiritual approach to addiction recovery. I actually condone, support, commend, and all of it. But as you'll see, as we read on, it doesn't seem like it's exactly what he's trying to make it seem like. Emotional and spiritual level by using MK Ultra tactics. And it legitimately is. Like, I'm going to show y'all. You're going to see. While purporting to focus on recovery, the Annex Barnes have gained a notorious reputation in Mexico. They have gained a notorious reputation in Mexico as violators of human rights, where patients are held against their will, suffer torture, mental and physical torture, and self-deletion is common. They have a notorious reputation in Mexico as violators of human rights. Patients are held against their will, they're tortured, and they self-delete. Okay. Woo. All right. So this is prison without due process. Make no mistake. Listen to this. Listen to this. Oh, God. When I read this sentence, I was like, I have to read this tomorrow on live. Quote, "Welcome to hell," was the first thing they said to me when I arrived. Moises Tevez. He had been taken across the border against his will by his family. From where? Walnut Park neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. And checked into Una Nueva Visión in Tijuana's North Zone. So, welcome to hell was the first thing they said to me when I arrived. I was taken across the border against my will, kidnapped, taken across the border against my will from Los Angeles. I'd been through the 12 steps in LA, but quickly slipped up. He told Fox News Latino, the Mexican model is much more extreme, he said. The only steps they concentrate on are 4 and 5. The first thing when you arrive is being forced to admit all the terrible things you have done. And then you're constantly reminded of that throughout the process. Now, there's a certain cult that calls itself a religion that does the same thing. They kind of get you to tell them all your secrets, and then that's what they use against you to keep you in the cult. The only steps they concentrate on are 4 and 5. The first thing they do when you arrive is you're forced to admit all the terrible things you've done, and then you are constantly reminded of that throughout the process. Okay, what are steps 4 and 5? 4, make a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And then, so you have to kind of search through for the thetans and things like that and take inventory of it. Number 5, admit to God, to ourselves, and to one other human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Okay. Step 4, we have to take a full inventory of everything we've ever done wrong and all of that. And then we have to admit it to ourselves, admit it to God, and also, importantly for this cult, admit it to somebody else. All right. Oh, man, Moises said, humiliation plays a big part. They wear you down before you can be built back up again. And this does remind me of the BJ Investigates Dr. Phil's Teen Ranch that I did about Bad Baby and Paris Hilton. Yes, I do know it's Bad Baby, but it's just funnier when I don't know. It just brings me joy to say Bad Baby. But this is what they do. They tear you down. They wear you down. They make you do work, manual labor. They torture you. They abuse you. And it's to tear apart any sense of who you actually are so that when you're getting built back up by them, you're a new version that other people actually want to deal with. And that is legitimately taken exactly from like the MK Ultra experiments, which are public, released to the, public at this point, at least in part. And this is what they would do. They would torture, tear you down. A lot of times it would be on drugs, psychedelics like LSD, and then they would, build you back up into this new version, and was legitimately for the purpose of controlling people's minds. And it's like, I guess, I mean, if this is doing against people's will, then you're making them do these humiliation rituals. I mean, like, I don't know, girl. I don't know. Let me stop. Asked whether he felt the program would keep him away from narcotics upon completion, Moises Tevez was unsure. He said there's definitely less sympathy on this side of the border, but remember, he was in Los Angeles. He said there's less sympathy on this side of the border. So I suppose that makes the personal accountability more real. Despite Tijuana having one of the highest densities of rehabilitation centers in Mexico, at least 110 centers with over 200 AA groups around the city, the rates of patient regression hang at 95%. Okay, so it's not doing much better over there than it's doing over here. I mean, I think here is the like 2 to 5%. It's like the same, 95% regression, 95% quote relapse is what, terminology you may be familiar with. Okay, there's another quote. Most of our patients are this type of thing users, which can be nearly impossible to resist for people recovering with addiction. And this is that same guy. Oh no, that was Jesus. This is a different guy. Jose Morales, director of this place where Moises was a patient. It says, quote, over half of all the type of substance that reaches the U.S. market comes through Tijuana. Okay, whoa, all right. Most of our patients use this, which can be nearly impossible to resist. Over half of the actual substances that reaches the United States comes through this place, the kind of densest rehab capital of Mexico or whatever. And narcotics are available on every corner. So, I mean, it seems like a thriving business right there. I mean, there's Tijuana is the kind of like meth capital export of the Mexico, and also the rehab capital. Isn't that a nice little economy they've set up over there? And again, y'all, it ain't even just Mexico. Take a trip down to Delray Beach and Clearwater. Go do it before you make any judgments, and just take a gander. If our patients return to their old routines when they leave, a return to use is almost a certainty. So they got to get them in a new routine, is what he's saying. We have less contact with our North American patients when they go. I'm assuming that's like, maybe it means like Canada too. He says, we assume it's the same is true north of the border. I don't know. Maybe it's just US. So he's saying we don't really have a lot of contact with them when they go back to know if they're doing better or recover, regress, whatever. But we are just assuming it's probably the same. And based on the numbers that are, public for like just regular, like AA, 12 step, whatever, it does seem to be in that 2 to 5% range. Unlike AA run rehab centers in Tijuana, the annex barns are not controlled by any organization. And patient treatment is subject to the whims of ex-addict padrinos, godfathers, behind closed doors. So there's no controlling entity, and it's just kind of there's no licensing body or anything. It is just kind of up to the whims of ex-addicts who are called godfathers. Now, in and of itself, I actually personally don't think that's that big of a deal. I think if people want to recover from stuff, they should be able to seek the treatment they want. But I do think it's a huge problem because these people are being kidnapped across the border and not. held in there for sometimes years. That's really the problem, right? And then on top of it, it's just at the whims of these, like, I don't know who these people are. If you're not free to just leave, it's a problem to me. It always has been. The chief of medical staff at another different place, a state-run mission. Okay. So Dr. Julio Cesar Ramirez says these are dangerous places. And who is this guy? He's the chief of medical staff at the $1,000 a month Durango state-run mission, Corian. I don't know how to say that, but this is a big price difference. Even, back 2016, this is $1,000 a month. So you're going to pay $3,000 in a state-run facility where you would only pay $500 in one of these cruel and unusual annex barns that you can store your loved one away in. You simply don't know what you're getting if you check into an annexo, he told Fox News. Programs run by former addicts are unpredictable, and there's no guarantee of patients' safety. Many notorious annex barns falsely use the AA logo in order to trick concerned families into bringing their family members, while others have kidnap teams which specialize in forcing addicts into institutions against their will. Now, innocent until proven guilty. I'm not accusing anyone of any crimes, but Stephen B. Timmer seems like a professional kidnapper, if you ask me, specializing in getting people into treatment against their will by filing court paperwork, showing up to hotels where the people are, calling the cops, getting them taken, letting them into the facility. So this guy specializes. The kidnap teams. Well, doesn't that sound kind of familiar to like what is alleged to have happened to Elijah? Now, the big difference here is the alleged kidnapping happened in New York. So, I mean, they would have had to kidnap him from New York and get him down to Mexico. I don't know. Maybe they did. I don't know. But that is a difference. Oh, man, I'm not even going to be able to try and say this one. Aviano, last name. The day manager at the state-run facility, he was forced into rehab against his will 11 years ago by a kidnap team employed by Durango. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So this guy is the day manager for the Durango facility. It's an annexo. He actually was forced by a kidnap team 11 years ago against his will into this exact facility that he's now the day manager of. A recovering this addict, he heads up the kidnap team himself, so he's proud of it. The MK Ultra was successfully worked because they rewired his brain. Because he's going to tell you it was very traumatic and scary when it was happening, but now he sees it as a good thing. And that is the same thing that happened to Steve-O. They did this like forced intervention with Jackass on Steve-O, and Steve-O will tell you is the best thing that ever happened to him. He, went to rehab. He got off of all his substances. He didn't want to really do it again. He's sober to this day, allegedly, apparently, according to him. And he says that he needed that tough love. So this person is he was a success story. He's now the day manager of the Annexo. He was forced into the rehab against his will 11 years ago by a kidnap team of the place he works at. He heads the kidnap team himself, forcing the more belligerent drug addicts into the center on request of their families. He heads up the kidnap team, and he forces the, quote, more belligerent drug addicts into the center at the request of their families. Okay. He said it was a real fight to get me in, but they eventually overpowered me. Looking back, it was the only way I was ever going to go into rehab. And I see it was for my own good, but it was very stressful at the time. He says the kidnapping of patients is a relatively easy operation. Well, we saw it on the body camera footage of Stephen Timmer. I mean, you just lie a little bit, say there's a sex worker and she got her titty implant ripped out or something. And then once you do that, then, say it's assault, say he's schizophrenic, say he's on meth, and boom, you can pretty much get him to do anything you want him to do. We make sure their families take away their guns or weapons. And they tell us where they will be at a specific time. Wow, this just gave me a galaxy brain of something I had forgotten. Do y'all remember that Bam Margera body camera footage where his Aunt Missy came out of the hotel and the cops were like, "Is he in there?" Whatever. And she said, "Yes." And on her own volition without being asked. No one asked her this. She just said it. He doesn't have any weapons or anything. He doesn't have any he doesn't have any weapons or anything. It's kind of almost like it's literally the playbook. The kidnapping of patients is easy. Why? We make sure their families take away guns or weapons they might have, and they tell us where they will be at the specific time. 6 of us arrive and forcibly abduct them. It can be very stressful for everyone involved. Mexico's authorities pay little attention to these facilities, given that the majority are based out of private properties and residential areas. Jurisdiction. Legal jurisdiction is more complicated than with public institutions. They're successful in giving patients a sense of the pain and suffering that they have often caused others. But patients' families must be very careful about the organization they choose. A 3-month stay can be a very long time if you're in the wrong place. Okay, so there is a little bit more information I wanted to share with y'all, and that comes from the court. There have been some new filings on the docket that I want to show y'all the docket. But yeah, I mean, put in the comments below what you think about those annexos. I mean, it's pretty scary. There was another, let's see, I'll show y'all this one. This article, before we get in the court doc, it says, my friend was abducted into forced addiction treatment in Mexico. This, I believe, is the facility. This is one of them right here with the triangle and the dragon on it, or whatever it is. I can't really tell. It's blurry. He was detained by police in the city of Mexicali, capital of Baja California, Mexico. This is such a confuse. Like, is it in Mexico? Is it in California? Mexicali in Baja California, Mexico. He was involuntarily, hold on. He insisted he was not committing any crime, whether drug related or not, and he was not charged with anything, but he was involuntarily admitted into addiction treatment center. He used to go to a safe consumption site, like a safe injection site type of thing. He was arrested. The violation of his rights is far from unique. Pile of them. Homelessness, profiled as drug users, mainly due to their financial situation. And then they get put in. So this guy's saying they get profiled as drug users, mainly due to the fact that they're just frankly poor and they're not presented before a judge. They just get put directly into these centers. Like, that's human trafficking, if true. Just picking somebody up for a private facility. A leading research and higher education center. Okay. Currently collaborating. It has always been a condition related to treatment in the country. Right now, the state government is working with the mayors of Tijuana and Mexicali to clean the streets. In other words, forcing people into abstinence-only treatment has become a systematic act of discrimination and abuse. What are the authorities trying to clean the streets of? Their people? Gonzalez similarly described Sean's abduction as a part of a larger system aimed at a more or less eliminating people who use drugs from public view in large Mexican cities. In Mexicali, this is also part of a gentrification operation intended to quote, clean the downtown streets from unwanted populations. Okay, for the activists, the kidnapping of one of our own, because that's what it was, brought home one of the many ways the global war. So someone who helped to found this organization that they're happened to be a member of, this had happened to him. Up to 80 people were forced to live on the floor of one room and participate in 12-step meetings. So, I mean, even here, we saw that they were saying, oh, it's not like the 12-step program, but it is. They're using 12 steps still. All the unethical, punitive practice of forced treatment is inflicted all over the world. A study found that a sample of 104 countries 69% of all the sample of 104 countries, 69% had criminal laws providing for the compulsory drug treatment of some type. In Mexico, the treatment centers are known as anexos. They are private facilities, but operated in coordination with the Mexican authorities. In 2016, Vice reported on these secretive, abusive treatment centers. At one, up to 80 people were in that room having to do the 12-step meetings, not able to leave the facility for at least 4 months. The practices were unacceptable at any time, but are even more so. Okay. There was another report in 2016 called No Health, No Help, which goes into deep detail about how poorly run and unethical the centers are and how they fail to provide any evidence-based treatments. In early 2020, Mexican authorities estimated that almost 62,000 people had disappeared, completely unaccounted for. 62, whoa. In early 2020, Mexican authorities estimated that almost 62,000 people had disappeared. Let me get to some of these. Thank you very much, Lindsay, for the super chat. Thank you, Terrence. You're the best. Thank you, Amber, for the 5 gift memberships. Welcome to members Marty Strong. Yeah, I think this article's point is that they went missing because like these anexos. Since the onset of the devastating drug war in 2006. Oh, okay. That is a lot less frightening. Oh my God. Okay. That was the way they wrote it was ambiguous. In 2020, the authorities estimated almost 62,000 had disappeared since 2006. So between 2006 and 2020, over that like 14-year-long period, that's still a lot of people. I'm not trying to downplay it, but I thought 62,000 people went missing in 1 year. That would have been a little bit more alarming. One source to uncover the world's largest femicides inflicted particularly on sex workers. Just like killing women. The fentanyl involved largely invisible overdose crisis. Vice recently reported on how for many Mexico's annual Day of the Dead is dominated by thoughts of those lost, to overdose and kidnappings allegedly carried out by police. So police are kidnapping people, I guess, and people are O/D'ing. And on Day of the Dead, it's like people are thinking of that now instead of like their grandmother who died in old age and maybe that one cousin who got in a car wreck or something. These include people taken away to forced treatment just for looking like a drug user, with police often demanding treatment money. Oh, they're trafficking. The police are trafficking the people into the facilities, and it's body brokering. And this happens in Florida as well. So don't get it twisted. It happens probably all over, but Florida even had to put a law in place to say that this type of thing had to be unacceptable, but because people were making money off of putting people into private rehab centers. So people have been taken away, forced into treatment, extorted for money, and they die in the facilities or they're never heard from again. In July, a mass murder took place at, okay. Whoa, I got to look into this. Took place at Recovering My Life and Treatment Center, a treatment center in central Mexico. Armed men raided the place and executed 26 people. What? Determined to get their friend Sean out, would not fall through the cracks. Alerted by the network, traveled to Cabo, Baja California. Sean was being held there. Heard from Sean how the treatment center forced its residents to live. The conditions of the center were so horrible. Overcrowded, urine on floors, and beatings. Sean said that he himself had endured physical, quote, punishment while in detention. Well, this is horrible. I have to take my turmeric shot. Used his privileged status to work to get Sean out, but encountered resistance. Management made it hard for me to take him away. I told them we would sue for kidnapping. They wanted his mom there. It's always roping in the parents to get him out, or he will spend 6 months up to a year. Sean's mom lives in Seattle, so this was impossible in the current circumstances. She provided an audio recording of her voice pleading for them to let him out, but they still refused to release him. The following day, November 7th, he returned to the facility and was able to get his friend Sean released. It was an odyssey, but we got him out. We had to call his mom in Seattle, get a new shirt so he would look decent and not like a, quote, drug user, according to the director. Oh, the director was like, no, he has to look decent. He can't be looking like a dirty drug user on the streets, the director said. After threatening them to sue with kidnapping, they finally let him go. I can't express the joy and relief I felt when I saw a video of our comrade being released. I got released from kidnapping thanks to Jamie and Syed. Now I'm free to drink a couple beers. We'll be together soon, helping out with translations. Happiness I felt of this news was mixed with anger and disgust. And this, I think, is where Elijah is right now, because there were dozens more people in that facility alone, and countless others held somewhere else who did not have influential people to advocate for them like Sean did. They will continue to suffer in atrocious conditions in a place where they should never have even been. I wrote the story to raise awareness when most US media seems to care very little of what happens south of the border. Even July's treatment center massacre did not receive widespread media coverage that it should, and the plight of people like Sean raises little concern. Their organization and their allies were able to get their friend out, and it shows that we should never underestimate the power of drug user activism. We will not stand for this, regardless of where we live. I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm not in the drug user activism club, but just as a concerned citizen of the United States, I'm also concerned about our brothers, sisters, people elsewhere out there. I mean, a border don't really mean that much to me, other than I know that where this Constitution applies and it's here, and they better not be keeping on doing this stuff. But I care a whole lot to know that there's people in these. We need to scale up our work, expand our networks, shout from the rooftops if we're to stand a chance of ending the mass global abuse of forced treatment. It is global abuse. Okay, so now I want to show y'all what's in the court documents for Elijah Blue's case, because there have been some new filings. Cher has made some new filings literally yesterday. So let me look that up. Um okay. Oh, I need to put my little password in and all that. Okay, it's logging me in. Could do this crap again. Okay. Here's the docket. All right. Okay. So last we spoke, we only had up to here. The last time we talked, so it was these ones were the ones that we saw last time. Now, I don't know if I went through every single one, but I went through, the ones that I thought were important. We talked about Brenda Penny. We talked about the supplement that Chaz Bono signed, appointment of the conservator. Subsequent. All right, I'll need to go back and look at this. Okay, did this get not? Oh, is this new? Okay, I'm gonna buy these. Should I do it right now? Okay, let me just show y'all this. Okay. Now, that's the last we spoke. This was this date. I'm not 100% sure we actually did see all this, because I know that they did file some stuff, like under seal or whatever. And I'm not sure about this because I don't remember seeing initial and subsequent like that. Okay. Proof of service. Okay, so then all this is new. We haven't talked about this right here. Proof service, who cares? Okay, hearing 3/6. So there's gonna be a hearing on March 6th, and that's gonna be a petition for appointment of a probate conservator of the estate. Now, I do wanna reach out to Christopher Melcher or somebody because there is something going on here. Um, like, I don't understand it. There's petition for appointment of a probate conservator of the estate, and then there's the petition for appointment of a temporary conservator of the estate. I used to know the difference between a probate conservator, temporary conservator, and now I just kinda don't. But all these are just notices. So they're sending notice to people, notice of a hearing on March 6th and notice of a hearing on January 5th. So that leads us to today, the timeline. The first like emergency hearing or whatever is going to be heard on this coming Friday, January 5th, which is in 2 days. Today's Wednesday, day after tomorrow. There's another hearing already on the docket for March 6th, and I don't know what that's about. I will have to dig a little bit more into these documents. I need to make sure I don't wanna buy these because I might have already bought them. I don't wanna waste money, but once I get off of here, I'll put it together. In the next update about them, I'll discuss with y'all exactly what is going on. Um, Interestingly, I haven't seen anything filed by Elijah yet. I haven't seen anything filed by Cher yet. One thing I did see that I found to be of import is remember that trustee? It was like the trustee was bound by the rules like of the trust. Like Greg Allman had set up this trust back in whenever for his kid and um oh, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. I can literally only do one thing at once. Let me pull up these court documents. Okay. The trust, right. We're talking about the trust. So in the trust, he was required, the trustee of that trust was required to start giving Elijah trust distributions payments by December 31st, which was 3 days ago. So I was kind of like, I wonder who that trustee is or whatever. Well, he's listed here. And this, again, that's a public document. I just showed y'all where I got it from on the docket. It was from right there. So let me show y'all the document. So this is filed by Gabriella Vidal, who is a familiar face, a familiar name from Britney's case. She came on to help Britney's useless lawyer that Britney did not consent to, Sam Ingham. She works at Loeb and Loeb. She filed this on behalf of Cher, Elijah Blue Allman, and this is for a notice of hearing, guardianship. So she's petitioning for the appointment of a probate conservator of the estate. I don't exactly know what that is. I'm going to look it up and I'll have the info for y'all. If not, I will reach out to Christopher Melcher, see if maybe he'll even come on or just, maybe he'll make a video, something like that. All right. So March 6th, they're going to be talking about the probate conservator. But here is the service list. Cher is on it. No last name because she's more special than us. She don't have to use her last name. Mary Angela King, that's the wife. Chaz Bono, that is the brother of Elijah, but they do have different fathers because Chaz Bono's father was Sonny Bono, a famous musician, and Elijah Allman's father was Greg Allman, another different famous musician. I don't know this Delilah Island Frawley, formerly known as Delilah Island Allman Curtum. This is a strange name, girl. I do not know. And then look, Michael Lehman or Lehman. How do you say that? Lehman. Trustee of the G.A. Robbins descendants, Greg Allman Robbins descendants, revocable trust, dated July 2014. Michael Lehman is the trustee, and he's been holding, according to court documents, he's been holding Elijah's trust money. So it kind of felt like maybe he was in on it a little bit. I don't know. Oh, this is so sweet just because this is terrifying and shocking. Girl, The divine universe directs you where you are needed most. It's true. Giving me a little scalp tingle on my antennas here. Um, the purpose in your life is so important. Everybody's is. That's why we have to wake up and start noticing when stuff's happening to people out here. A new police was in on it. Drum roll. Judge Penny signed off on it. Yeah, Judge Penny did sign off on this. I think it's interesting that this Delilah Island is based in Georgia, and I remember the wife tagging her "All She Wants to Do Is Kill Me" song at your mama's house in Georgia. That I found to be interesting. Conservatorship of the estate. So let me see. There was one other thing I wanted to show y'all from the filings. And again, this is Cher making these filings. This is his mother who gave him this name. And remember, he did try to change his name in 1999, or someone tried to change his name in 1999. Thank you, Gypsy Trails. Please purchase. I'll put a little towards it. Oh, thank you very much. I will. I'm going to purchase them. I'm going to get them. Yeah, I mean, she needs to be investigated. Her son is like a big Hollywood like showrunner for Insecure or something. Okay. So he tried to change his name, or someone tried to change his name. It got denied. So that I found to be interesting. But let me show y'all this filing. It's another one from January 2nd. Also filed on behalf of Cher by Gabrielle Vidal from Loeb and Loeb. This one is Cher, petition for the appointment of temporary conservator of the estate. Now, remember, the last one said probate conservator of the estate. January 5th. So the last one said March 6th. So I think what's going on is there's a... Oh, I see. So I guess they're already trying to make it permanent. Probate conservator. I don't want to speculate. I'm going to look it up, and I'm going to dive into the documents and see. But there is a hearing for, quote, the temporary conservator of the estate this Friday. There's another hearing for, quote, probate conservator of the estate, and that one is scheduled March 6th. The one we're looking at right now is the one that Cher gave, what is it? Notice of hearing to who? Elijah Blue Allman. Do y'all see how she spelled this? This is his mother now. His mother. Elijah Blue Allman. That's weird to me, because it's been being spelled with an E in the other documents, including including the actual court docket. Elijah Blue. So who is this Elijah with an A Allman that's getting notice? And also, why doesn't his mom have his name spelled right? Because she sure did spell it right when she filed for the conservatorship with the court. Gabriella Vidal filled out all these documents. So Gabriella Vidal just spelled his name two different ways. I mean, maybe, but that's kind of weird. Like, maybe, I guess. I mean, why do they misspell the names? It's a twin? It's a different altar? I mean, so go to Philadelphia, Kingston. Yeah, I know. I mean, who is Elijah with an A? Can somebody explain it to me? And he did try to change his name, or somebody tried to change his name in 1999. Who is Elijah with an A? Let me see. Okay. Elijah with an A. Elijah. And we already know Cher just puts her first name on these documents, so it don't seem like she really like actually cares that much. Yeah, I mean, how could you do that? And here she is smiling with her crooked nose on the news, saying that she's doing the best thing for her son and she's always done what's in his best interest. I mean, some of y'all sent me a story too about Elijah talking from his own mouth, saying, he's had a lot of problems with his mom. Um, he was resentful that they sent him to a boarding school when he was 7 or 8 years old. He, has been up and down with his mom. They've gone through periods and periods of time where they don't even speak. I mean, it could be this. I'ma definitely need to be looking for Elijah. Why she spelled it like that? Let me see. Let me check all of them real quick. Like, cause I have them downloaded. So let me just notice of hearing in March. It's also spelled Elijah with an A. Let me see how she spelled it on the one she sent to Mary Angela. Oh, Mary Angela. But it's spelled right on the caption of the case. Something going on here. Something is up. Something is amiss. I don't know. Let me see what the petition for let me see what our petition says. Because Gabrielle Vidal is the same one. I mean, it's getting a little curious here. Okay, look. Here is petition for the appointment of a temporary conservator. Okay, that one was filed December 27th. Temporary conservatorship of Elijah with an E Blue Almond. Okay, cool, nice. Let me go to the next one. Petition for appointment of conservator of the estate. Again, Elijah with an E. So it's like only these ones that were filed. Okay, let me see. Notice of hearing to no one. Okay, it is weird because look at this. I mean, wow, this is. I guess it's possible it's just they're just careless because, I mean, I've seen stuff get misspelled on Truly It's Just an Accident, but I don't know, it's kind of interesting, kind of concerning to me. Because look up here, it says conservatorship of Elijah Blue Almond. And here it says Elijah Blue Almond. Girl, I don't know. Yes, Angel, correct. PR pushes are instrumental in locking these people up. Cher's most definitely on the defense. PR pushes are instrumental. They had just put it all in our consciousness, all of our collective consciousness, just in October, that Cher has always made the best decisions for her son and cares about him and all that or whatever. It's like, girl, The man is saying that he was put in one of these annex barns and you're talking about always doing the best thing for him. Imprisonment with no due process. No, girl. No, ma'am. No, you don't do that to somebody you love. That's not true. This is kind of what I'm thinking. And it does coincide with what Mary Angela King, the wife, had said in her divorce documents. Because what did she say in those divorce documents? She said, I doubt Elijah actually has any input in filing of these court documents, because whenever they put forth our inventory, our accounting of our assets, our inventory of assets, they were missing all kind of stuff that he would never leave off. So I don't even think he's involved here. And it makes me wonder, I mean, how much is Cher involved? Like, tinfoil hat time, but are people pulling her strings? Because she had a Vegas residency at the same time as Britney did. Like, is she just a full sellout? She compromised? Why is she doing this? Maybe she's an evil witch who hates her son. I don't know. It is very difficult for me to wrap my mind around this being something you could do to somebody you love. It is. He said, my beautiful friends from down Mexico way. This is Cher's son said this. Not forgotten. He's naming names here. Imprisonment via conservatorship. Look how they got these people. Now, I don't know where this picture's from. We could do a Google image reverse search or something one day, but it does say 2,000 of these are out there in Mexico alone. Horrifically abused, tortured, we read. Some cases are being held for years. It's just prison. It's literally private prison taken to an extra step, taken to another extra step. Yeah. 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 This is setting a precedent for everybody, people. Soon we're all going to be conserved. Most people struggle with mental issues or addiction thanks to the cruel world we live in. That is true. And for the few people that don't, whenever they say, I've never had a mental health struggle, I've never had it was almost like a trick this whole time. Like the PR propaganda machine push was pushing out like, decrease the stigma. I have mental health too. I have this, I have that. Don't stigmatize people. Don't say the R word. Don't say insane. Don't say crazy. And it's like all the while, it's just encouraging people to kind of be like, oh yeah, I have that. Oh yeah, I have that. Self-diagnosed rampantly on TikTok and Instagram. Oh yeah, I have that. I have that. I'm on this. I have that. And it's like, okay, well now all y'all are out here haven't said that. You can never go back and say, no, I never struggled with a mental health problem. I already told y'all I don't have nothing anymore. No. Autism, no. I reject that. No, I don't. I gave that up for Lent. Thank you, Thea, for the super chat, super sticker. And yeah, so now that everybody's all out with it, they're like, oh, well, I mean, his wife can't be helping him make decisions because she has had addiction struggles in the past or she's had mental health struggles in the past. And it's like, wait a second, who hasn't? So you're putting some grandfather, godfather, whatever it's called, in some like unregulated torture camp in charge of me instead of just letting my wife, because she's had a problem with mental health. Like, whoa, hold on. So wait, there is still a stigma and it's like more dangerous than ever. Because it's like mass production insane asylums now, mass production psychiatric incarceration. Decrease the stigma. Sell your data to BetterHelp. Woo! The wokeness of it almost is biting us in the ass. It is. And listen, I want to make too much fun of the wokeness of it all because I was there. I was one of those people that thought that. I was like, let's reduce the stigma, decrease the stigma. But like I was doing it out of like a good faith, yeah, let's make it easier for people to like go about their business after they struggle with something. Not let's lock them up in a annex barn south of the border or anywhere in Florida or anywhere. I think that's all I'm really gonna have for today. I've been on here an hour and a half, so I'll talk to y'all later. I do want to go buy these documents, see if there's a difference between what I already got and what's up there. I think I already got everything, but I'll let y'all know. That's all I have. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.